Greetings everybody, this is Sabin Dimitrov, aka Adinstvo the Astral Wolf, and it is a pleasure to have you guys here for this next video. So we are going to be doing a political affiliation test based off of Adinstvo and what he does when he leads his people. So we are going to see how I lead the Astral Empire and kind of have a best guess on how this works from the human standpoint. You see, as a quick reminder and explanation, on the smaller levels we have a kind of a community pot where we put a lot of our resources. So that way we can have resources set aside in case something happens to help the community itself be self-sufficient. And then at the end of the year, if we are over budget, if we are under budget, then we give a bonus back to our members. So it is a kind of a community thing where that allows individuals to be able to put in something into like a community pot, but then get rewarded if we keep things under budget, so that way people can get a bonus back, or we can find somebody who needs a blessing and be able to transfer the money somewhere else, and you get to get whatever money you put in there back as a certain percentage. So if you put $100,000 into that pot and then we are under budget, you can get a solid chunk of that back, or you can put your share of that pot into something else or to someone else. So we like to make sure that our people are given as much control over their own stuff as possible, while still keeping things better for the greater purpose of the empire. Then on larger areas, we do have a male and a female leader, or kind of a sub-leader, but the male gets to make the final choices, but he can be influenced by what the female counterpart does. So that the male and female leaders are great because both of them get to see both sides, and eventually that will help both males and females be able to have proper and pretty much equal representation and appreciation. The reason why the males do get to make the right choice, get the final choice, is because they are a lot more analytical. They are a lot more like Spock. We pick individuals who are a lot less run by emotions and run by cold hard facts and what needs to be done. That's one of the reasons why our empire does so well, but that also is one of the reasons why our empire is often seen as colder to outside individuals. But to us, it is completely normal, and we are just pretty much happy with it. To make sure that the best choices are made, we need individuals who are willing to go over the facts, go over the hard cold information and data, and make the right choice based off of the true things behind all that's going on. But we have very influential female figures in the Astral Empire, like Sufti. Sufti is Adinstvo's Adinstvo's mate, and she is a huge part of his life, and he relies very much on her to help him keep stable, and it's very, very special. And you will see this male and female counterpart leadership being from counties to cities to from cities to counties to continental leaders to hemispheric leaders to bi-hemispheric leaders to world leaders, and up all the way to like I said, the world leaders, and then they all answer to Adinstvo. And the world leaders and the world leaders of each planet serve with Adinstvo as warriors, as well as being a good example of what the empire stands for. So like I told you guys before, Adinstvo requires that all of his leaders are enlisted in the military. because the military is the most important position in the empire. It's what helps keep the empire being able to be what it is. So to be a fighting man is a huge honor, and we expect the best from our people in power, and in turn that means we expect the best from our people. So there are certain areas and aspects which are a little bit more socialistic of the empire, meaning that little community pot. But we also make sure to keep that as fair as possible and give people control over that, so that way they can get their money back, or a solid chunk of it. So that way, we aren't just keeping giant hordes of money. We want to try to keep things as, individualistic as possible. So that way, individuals won't feel oppressed. And, it's a very great system which allows, allows taxes to be used properly and to not be abused. And if we ever do see taxes or funds being abused for personal gain or for a party's personal views that can be harmful to the rest of the empire, that will be severely punished. And we have very strict guidelines for that. So, yeah. So anyway, instructions. Welcome to the political scales, the online political test. You will be confronted to a series of affirmations, and for each of them, you will have a click on the button which corresponds to the opinion. The questions assume that you are a citizen of a multi-party political system and a market economy. You can always avoid answering a question, but if you do not understand the meaning of them, try to invert its meaning for a better understanding of which is implied. This test tries to represent a wider set of ideas as possible and contains some phrases that can be shocking, notably concerning racism and homosexuality. Alright then, cool. Boop. Violence against individuals is never productive. I'd say some would agree, because sometimes there are individuals out there who are really scummy, and sometimes you have to put them down, but I want to say some would agree, because we do try to be as, de-escalative as possible within our own people. And, like I said on that last story, Adensvo did try his best, to, keep people, properly, contained before actually having to use force. Like, Adensvo doesn't like to hurt people if he can help it. He has to fight against, there's a term that means the want to hurt but you hold it back. He has great self-discipline, and so he's been working on that, and he tries to make sure that the Empire tries their best to use passive influence without having to use force if possible. So I'm going to say somewhat agree. The main goal of a couple is to make at least one child. I want to say neutral or hesitant, because you aren't really required to make a child in the Empire, but it's encouraged, because we want to continue to help bring forth a new and better generation, a generation that learns from the history of our people, from the mistakes, the good parts, and the bad parts. And so I want to say neutral or hesitant, because you can be, you don't have to have a child, but we kind of would, so I guess somewhat agree, but also neutral or hesitant. So, usually when you are in the military, it is said that you should only have one child, because when you have multiple children, that means you have a lot more obligation, and that means you are thinking too much about home, and that can, hurt your focus on the military. So I'm gonna say somewhat agree with some side effects. With some side parts. Give me a second, guys. Alright. Preserving non-urban ecosystems is more important than creating jobs. Because the Astral Empire works with nature, and we have pretty much, made nature our own, I'd say it's yes and no, because Our jobs are based around, the empire's productivity and effectiveness as an empire to keep its people safe, secure, and happy. And, a lot of our houses have nature inside of it. And, we have, beautiful houses with natural shale, uh, electronium alloy, roofing, so that way we can, be safe from electrical storms or energy weapon attacks. I mean, so technically yes and no, because, we love, to have big planets with beautiful, beautiful areas where people can enjoy nature. So I'm going to say somewhat agree, but with a couple things that, we would hold it back from that. No one should get rich from owning a business, housing, or land. I would absolutely disagree, because it's great that, that we want, well, not actually, rather disagree, because, we do have a cap on how much a person should make, because when you start having just ludicrous amounts of money, it doesn't really, if it just sits there and it's not productive. And yeah, it's great to have lots of money, and, we allow people to get, pretty darn rich, but it's in resources, not like a crap ton of money. So in resources and stuff, we try to encourage individuals to use their money productively, so that way it's not, we don't just have copious amounts of money everywhere, and so that way we can keep inflation at a minimum. We want to try to take care of everybody if possible, but we also want to give people individual protection and over their funds and such. So I'd say rather disagree, with a few side parts to that. Transforming ecosystems durably to increase quality of life of human beings is legitimate. I would definitely say absolutely agree, because you can totally have a bustling, thriving city with beautiful nature implemented inside of it. And that's what we have inside of our empire. We have beautiful streets lined with these amazing alien plants. There are places that use, bioluminescent algae to, mark where you need to go. We have everything as natural as possible, while still making it so that way we can craft it and do stuff with it. So yeah, like I said, nature is at our disposal at this point. Our technology is so advanced that on your everyday life, you are dealing with mostly nature stuff that we have been able to manipulate. So I would definitely say I would definitely say absolutely agree, because that can, lead to beautiful things. The categories of women and men are social constructs that should be given up. Absolutely disagree. Absolutely disagree. Men and women is what make our empire what it is. That they are what make our empire, be able to make new children, so that way they can grow and be a better and, better generation. If we, remove those, we pretty much destroy society as a whole. So absolutely disagree. Loans contracted by the public sector, states, regions, communities do not necessarily have to be repaid. Well, it kind of depends on what is going on. We do try to make sure people are paid back. But if it's like, if you're giving money, that's a different story. But if you are loaning money, we do try to repay. So loans contracted by the public sector, states, regions, or communities do not necessarily have to be repaid. Like I said earlier, we do try to repay individuals who donate money or loan money, because we try, to make sure that, they know that they are appreciated, and we want to make sure people are not put into a financially unstable condition. So I would say rather disagree, because we try to make sure people are taken care of. Humans should neither eat nor exploit animals. I would say rather disagree, because we have been given precedence over the animals that the great creator has given us. So I would say rather disagree as long as we treat them with respect, because we can use them for wool, we can use them for meat, as long as the animals are properly taken care of, and we, the astral people, make sure that they aren't, in horrible conditions. They are perfectly fine being used for whatever we see and deem fit. So I would say rather disagree. Especially, remember, my citizens aren't human. They are different. Like, there's like 130 different breeds of canine species out there. There's a lionistic planet. We have a pretty darn big empire. A good citizen is a patriot. Absolutely agree. Remember, the empire's main focus is on making sure that we have a strong and bolstered military that is always protected and taken care of, so that way they can protect and take care of the people. A language is defined by its users, not by scholars. I'd say agree. Because the astralic language is, the modern astralic language that that unites the planets under a single language is what makes our people united and helps us, be able to talk with each other. Even though each planet has their own base language and their own dialects, they all are required to learn modern astral, and then if they want extra credit and extra points, they can learn parts of ancient astralic, which is pretty cool. So I would say somewhat agree, leaning more toward absolutely agree, but we're going to say somewhat agree to leave some area for movement. It is legitimate for a country to intervene militarily to defend its economic interests. I'd say somewhat agree, because we don't go around exploiting and taking over other empires. We usually are quite a self-contained empire. We don't go out of our way to hurt other individuals. We don't go out of our way to mess up other people. If we find a planet, we usually make a deal with individuals on that planet, or we find a system that is dead or that does not house life, and we take that over and mine those planets for the resources needed. So I would definitely say somewhat agree, depending on what happens. The maximum allowed hours in the legal work week should be increased, considering that we have 10-hour shifts for the military, and we do try to allow for more free time. And that's one of the things that makes our empire so special, is that because of our effective technology, that has allowed the work weeks to be a bit more reduced. But that also allows individuals to be able to, do things that are more productive on their free time. So I would say somewhat agree, because you want leniency in both smaller work weeks and bigger work weeks. So we try to allow people to do whatever they want to do when it comes to working, because a person who doesn't have much outside of work, if they want to continue to work as much as they want, they should be allowed that, because they can continue to help their company or their community do better in that aspect. So I would say somewhat agree. It is important that health should stay a public matter. Absolutely agree. That is why we have specialized, diversified, individualized healthcare. We don't have centralized healthcare, but we do have centralized standards. So we always make sure that you get the best medical care, even if it is in a smaller hospital. That is why we make sure everybody is taught the best they can get, and given the best technology and equipment to make sure that your health is of the utmost priority, because a happy people leads for a happy empire, and a happy empire leads for happy people. So we always make sure our people are taken care of, so that way our empire can prosper and thrive. In some specific conditions, the death penalty is justified. Absolutely agree. When those individuals fired, when that rioting mob fired rounds at Adinstvo when he tried to reason with them. That was seen as lethal force being used against the leader of the Astral Empire. And so Adinstvo's forces quickly stepped in and opened fire on the mob, cutting down a large portion of them and injuring even more. So that was a great way to help quell the violent individuals and to set them right. And we hold people accountable individually unless it's part of a whole group that is known to be problematic. But because of the pretty darn good quality of life in the Astral Empire, we very rarely have trouble with individuals causing trouble, even though we do have a large percentage of law enforcement individuals. So the law enforcement individuals have a pretty darn easy job not having to worry about too much crime, but they are required to go through the simulators in case anything does happen. So I would definitely say absolutely agree. My religion must be spread as widely as possible. Throughout the Empire, definitely, because we do follow, so remember, this is this is a made-up story, guys. This is not, real life, but, the Astral Empire follows God, or the Great Creator. And we have, a thing called the Astral Seven. And the Astral Seven is kind of, it's not like the Ten Commandments, but it's kind of like what we are supposed to strive for. It kind of goes similarly off of the Seven Spirit Ministry. So we always do our best to help, spread forth a want to get to know the Great Creator and have a personal relationship with the Great Creator. The Great Creator is who we call God, the one who intellectually made the universe. So, and lovingly so. So we, do our best to make sure that everybody knows just how blessed they truly are to live in such a beautiful empire that has been blessed by the Great Creator. And then, exploitation of fossil fuels is necessary. I had to skip that last question, guys, so that's why I cut it out of the video. It was one of those things that would just cause needless drama, just to say. So, we're just gonna go ahead and leave it at that. Exploitation of fossil fuels is necessary. Remember, we have been given these planets, and we have taken them over properly and pretty peacefully. Our empire has grown over 15,000 years, and we very rarely ever take over other planets that are habited. So all these planets that have been terraformed or grabbed and brought over the Astral Empire, we use them as needed. So exploitation of fossil fuels is necessary, especially in the earlier years of the Empire. So nowadays, the fossil fuel is turned into a thing called a quantum fuel cell, which allows us to be able to make long-lasting fuel cells that are environmentally friendly and also effective at the same time. So absolutely agree. Changes in an individual's way of life can induce changes in society. Oh, definitely. Absolutely agree. There have been changes in Adinstvo's life that have had him order changes in the Astral Empire. So definitely. Mass strike is a good way to acquire new rights. I would say somewhat agree, because there are good, strikes and bad strikes, and usually we are able to work with the individuals and give them the individualized care that they need. Instead of having full-on unions, we have a thing called the Individuals' Rights Program, and, so let's say a company offers, one perk that you use, but another person does not. The other person can, recant that perk's availability to them, and in turn be given the supplementary income that is equal to that value, or they can be given something else that is equal or close to equal of that value. So we try to make sure that everything is individualized the best we can and on record and file. So that way, if an individual does try to abuse anything, they can be properly corrected. And then if a company is ever seen outside of contract, abusing what they can do to their employees, then they are also properly corrected. So we do our best to make things as customizable as possible, so that way everybody can have the right kind of care that they need and benefits. So I would say somewhat agree. The values of my empire are superior to those of other countries. I would definitely say absolutely agree, because we have kept these views for over 15,000 years, and they have helped our empire grow substantially, and our people prosper every millennia, and we do better and better every millennia. So I would definitely say absolutely agree. But we do try our best to keep an open mind in case there's something else that we did miss. But the core base values of our empire would not change. The filing and storage of personal records should be delimited strictly, and databases cross-checking should be forbidden. The filing and storage of personal records should be delimited strictly, and database cross-checking should be forbidden. I'd say absolutely disagree. You want to have transparency in the empire unless, it is actual personal information. So I would say rather disagree, with maybe a few exceptions. Armed struggle in a country is sometimes necessary. Oh, absolutely agree. Like I said, sometimes we have individuals that cause trouble in the empire, and we must make sure that is stamped out immediately. So yes, absolutely agree. Nobody is by nature predisposed to criminality. I would say somewhat agree. There are individuals out there who do have mental deficiencies and problems, but as long as they are raised right, they are properly taken care of. So I would say somewhat agree on most parts, but there can be some areas that may lead to that can cause a person to become awkward, because psychosis or mental imbalances or deficiencies when they were born. So I want to say somewhat agree. Insurrection is necessary to deeply change society. I would say sometimes agree, because there have been times where the Astral Empire has had to help other empires form insurrections and to fight to make things better. So I would say somewhat agree. Sexual assaults are partially caused by a natural impulse. Well, yeah, but we don't allow that. So I would say somewhat agree, but we do not like people that do that, and they are properly punished and, must pay reparations. So, I mean, we do have a thing called, we do have a special aerosol that's in the atmosphere that helps prevent, actions like that. I know it's kind of called mental reconditioning, but what it does is that it helps the empire be a lot more working together. So yes, there are some parts where people may have parts of their more eviler side suppressed, but they aren't completely cut out of their personality. You are still you. It's just that you feel naturally just less of a want to do so. So I'm going to say neutral on that one. Heavy penalties are effective because they are dissuasive. Efficient. Absolutely agree. It is necessary to teach history in order to create a sense of belonging to the nation. Absolutely agree. Banks should remain private. I would say somewhat agree, just because we do have some, universal banks in our empire that helps make sure that everything is funded, and that way we have a ready pot of resources ready to be used. We should accept changes in our way of consuming food to limit the exploitation of nature. Like it is, because we have been given precedence over nature. Technically, nature is at our disposal, but we do try our best to take care of it. So, I would say neither agree nor disagree, because we have found ways to mass produce very good food without devastating the planet. The sacrifice of some civil liberties is a necessity in order to be protected from terrorist acts. I would definitely absolutely agree, because sometimes when the Astral Empire is going through a time of unrest or worry, a Denstvo has to put down martial law, and a lot of those rights are put on hold and temporarily subsided until that issue is taken care of. And we do make sure that we are transparent with our people. And if they have questions or inquiries, they are more than happy to ask and access the forums and the questions that we are answering. We should be retiring earlier. I would say some would agree, especially for Adinstvo's case, because he's been, the leader of the Astral Empire for 500 years, constantly on the front lines, fighting war after war after war, trying to keep the Empire safe and sound. And it is usually seen as honorable in the Empire to, work until, to work till your latter part of life. But we are trying to find ways to make it so that way the newer generations can take over sooner, so that way people can have a little bit more time for their families and themselves. So I would say some would agree on some parts. One is not born, but rather becomes a woman. I absolutely disagree. You're either born a man or a woman. That's just how it is. Activism is existing political organizations that's not relevant to change society. I would say some would agree. But I mean, we do our best to stay along the lines of our, of what we have built our empire on. So for societal changes, sure, but for the core values and the 7 pillars that our empire has stood on, we always make sure that we stay on that. So I want to say somewhat agree with limitations. Prisons should no longer exist. Absolutely disagree. We have to sometimes make sure individuals know that they screwed up by putting them inside whatever prison needs to be done. We actually do have prison planets, and those are planets where people can, work off their punishment. Or the really bad individuals that we capture or find are put in the astralic pits of despair. Something that is equivalent to pretty much the closest representation of hell. These things are specifically made to be the most vile and messed up of all places, so yeah. Sabotage is legitimate under certain conditions. Because our empire is just as overpowered as possible, I would say not really, but I would say some would agree, because we do have times where we do have to cut into enemy empires and sabotage their stuff, but I don't want to say some would agree. It is necessary to remove regulations and labor legislation to encourage firms to hire. I would say some would agree, but because we have that specialized, individualized system that, allows a lot of customizability, I'm going to say rather disagree, because, we don't really need to do that. Offshoring and outsourcing are necessary evils to improve production. Because of just the way that our empire is, we don't really ever have to do that. Everything just kind of comes in on itself. We have a lot of reciprocation and stuff, so I'm going to say neutral, just because we don't have to worry about that. Justice should always take into consideration the context and the past of the condemned and adapt their penalty accordingly. I would say some would agree, because if a person has lived a life, of crime, and that's just how things are, the parents grew up being pieces of garbage, so they kind of grow up emulating that behavior. If they go to a new area, there are times where they think that's just how things are. But, if they, make a mistake once and we correct them and tell them that's not how things go, and then they continue to do that, then they should be given proper and heavy punishment. So I would say some would agree on circumstances. Conditions of life in jail should be greatly improved. Neutral or hesitant, because the reason why you're in jail is because you're kind of a piece of garbage. And like it is, we have very intense systems to see why a person did the thing they did, and why, and like what we can do to help prevent that in the future, and to work with that person for rehabilitation or improvement. So I'm going to say neutral or hesitant. I want to say disagree, because if you're in prison, you definitely freaking deserve it. A good policy is a pragmatic policy without ideology. Okay, Google. Define pragmatic.
Here's the definition of pragmatic. dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations.
Absolutely agree. Thank you, Google. Sexual orientation is a social construct. Absolutely agree. I do not have any problem if other official languages are added or replace our existing official language in my country. I would say disagree because we do require individuals to know, Central Astralic, because that is what keeps our empire unified. But they are allowed to do whatever they want to do. So I'm going to say rather disagree because, in order to keep the unification of the empire, yeah. Okay. It is necessary to avoid private monopoly. Well, I want to say neither agree or disagree because, it's fine to monopolize as long as you take care of your people. So, as long as a company is doing what it's supposed to be doing and takes care of its people while thriving, then by all means, monopolize all you want, because you're buying out other companies and you get to grow. Heck, there's a family-run company that is one of the largest supporters of our military that has been running it for 8,000 years. So, Oh, definitely. Abortion should be limited to specific cases. Absolutely agree. And that is one of the reasons why we started the TAR program on my previous video. The TAR program gives these children a second life and another purpose. Now, there are certain cases where, we do sadly have to destroy the fetus, but that is under extremely rare circumstances, and usually we are able to find ways to either repurpose that individual or to submit them to the TAR program for reconstruction. The purpose of the judiciary system should be to punish those who went against the law. Absolutely agree. It is better to arrest someone potentially dangerous preemptively rather than taking the risk and having them commit the crime. I would say, somewhat agree, leaning more toward neutral or hesitant because we have had to take preemptive action against individuals who are planning something. Because if we find that you are planning something bad, then by all means you are going to get, swatted. The state should be abolished. Absolutely disagree, because when you have a state, you have, actually rather disagree, because when you abolish a state, then you abolish individuality and that purpose of that area. So to keep, regions having their own cultures and stuff, we do try our best to keep the state on a relatively normal area. So I'd say rather disagree. Activists must always act in strict accordance to the law. Absolutely agree. If you go around hurting stuff or breaking stuff, screw you. You're going to get blasted. Marriage should be abolished. Absolutely disagree. Technological progress must not change society too quickly. Absolutely agree. Because if technological progress goes too fast, our society will fall into a state of shock, and that will cause the empire to suddenly hit a brick wall. So absolutely agree. It is not acceptable that human actions should lead to the extinction of a species. I would say somewhat agree, because sometimes there are species out there that we could do without, and there have been times where the Astralic people have all unified and said, nah, this thing should not exist, and they got rid of it. Energy and transport structures should be a public matter. Absolutely agree, because, without those, we would not have power. Now, mind you, we don't really have transport or energy structures much anymore, because every home has its own reactor core, and then you just replace those reactor cores every 100 years. So really, you don't gotta worry too much about it. So I would say absolutely agree, just because, it's a public matter. It is necessary to massively invest in research to improve productivity. Absolutely agree. Our empire is known for being the most progressive empire in the universe, for being technologically and, militarily advanced. So yes, definitely. If two countries have similar economies, social systems, and environmental norms, then the free market between them has no negative impact. I would say some would agree, but there are sometimes negative impact to others around them, so I'm going to say some would agree. Schools should mostly teach our values, traditions, and fundamental knowledge. Yes, because if we lose our values and our history, then our empire will be no more. Guys, I ran into another question that would have started unnecessary drama, so we just had to skip that one. Okay, so revenues and capital should be taxed to redistribute wealth. Some would agree. Like I said, the Empire does have a lot of wealth redistribution programs to make sure everybody is taken care of. But if an individual is seen abusing that and spending things on, constantly spending on needless stuff, then they will have that reduced. So, I would say some would agree, just because we try to make sure our empire gives back to the people, because if we expect the best for our people, then if we expect the best of our people, then we need to give them our best. It is unfair to set a minimal penalty for an offense or a crime. Definitely disagree. No matter what offense or crime there is going to be a penalty. Even if it is just like a small fine, we don't tolerate, dissension. Environmental norms should be influenced by mass consumption and not form and authority. I would say absolutely agree, because, it's the people and what they do. Yes, we have areas where the empire's, government is absolute, but we also make sure that our people are properly taken care of and not led astray or on a path that can damage their lives. So I would say some would agree. Nowadays, employees are free to choose when signing a contract with their future employees. Absolutely agree. Like I said, we go for customizability instead of mass. We go for quality over quantity. Hacking has a legitimate place in political struggle. Well, like I said, our empire's planets and overall structure is unified, so we don't really ever have to worry about that, but I would say some would agree, because sometimes you gotta make sure things are going the way they should. Maintaining strong economic growth should be an objective for the government. Absolutely agree. Like I said, our empire harvests stars. We sell so much to other empires that we make just a gigaton of money. Like, we make so much resources back because we sell to other empires. It's ridiculous. We are by far the most wealthy empire, and we have massive stores, like unimaginably massive stores of money set aside, so that way if anything happens and our empire has to close itself off for a few millennia, we will have more than enough money to make sure everybody is taken care of. So yeah, absolutely agree. It is acceptable that some industry sectors are private. Oh, definitely. The fact that some schools and universities are private is not a problem. I would say some would agree. We still make sure that they are following the main astrologic baselines. But besides that, as long as it's not harmful to society or going against what we know and the solid and static rules that make our society the way it is, you can kind of do whatever you want. If you want to do a chemical college or chemical school, by all means, go right ahead. As long as you are not putting in jeopardy the values and the systems that our people hold dear and keep our empire what it is. Genetically modified something should be forbidden outside of research and medical purposes. Absolutely disagree. All of our food is genetically modified, so yeah. Nuclear fission, when well maintained, is a good source of energy. We've gone past nuclear fission. We have dark matter reactors that refuel people's energy cores. So yeah, it's great. So absolutely agree. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, I see. Okay, sorry. Wage labor is a form of theft from the worker by companies. I would say somewhat agree because, like I said, well, because if a company starts going against what the employees signed up with, and starts adding on other things, that can be seen as bad, and we make sure that that is rectified as quickly as possible with as little friction. It is merit that explains differences of wealth between two individuals. I guess some would agree. The influence of religion should decrease. I would say absolutely disagree. Technically, this isn't exactly a religion, but following the great creator and basing our lifestyles off of the Astral Seven, so that way we can always face toward the great creator. That's what helps keep our empire so prosperous, because when you do that and you follow those guidelines of taking care of others and working together as a whole, it's good, So the influence, I would say disagree, because that is what our empire is built off of. If we abandon that, we abandon what our empire stood for. Abstinence should be preferred to contraception to preserve the true nature of the sexual act. Absolutely agree. We have a strict no policy on sex outside of marriage. Fornication and doing that is strictly prohibited and severely punishable. All sciences, even chemistry and biology, are not uncompromising and are conditioned by our society. All sciences are not uncompromising and are conditioned by our society. I'd say disagree, because chemistry is chemistry. The great creator made the universe with the laws and the physics that it has. We can't change that. We can affect parts of it, but we cannot change that. People need to stand up for their ideals, even if it leads them to betray their country. I'd say rather disagree, because if you betray the Astral Empire, you're kind of a piece of garbage. So I'd say because from the Astral Empire's point of view, we would, absolutely disagree, because, like I said, we keep an open mind for, progression of betterment of our society, but because we keep things based off of what, made our empire what it is, if you betray that, you're pretty much going on the evil path. So, sorry, but absolutely disagree. Revolutions will always end up in a bad way. I'd say some would agree. Like I said, our empire doesn't really ever have revolutions, but when they do, it's usually bad, so yeah. We need to make compromises with the opposition to apply our ideas. That's the thing. We have actually had ceasefire agreements with certain enemy empires for the betterment of other empires, and we try our best to work in a non-violent manner, so I would say some would agree, depending on the situation. Order and authority should be respected in all circumstances. Order, yes. Authority, sure, as long as the persons. I'd say some would agree, because sometimes people are pieces of garbage. So, yeah, we make sure those individuals are properly punished, Citizens should take priority over foreigners. Absolutely agree. Absolutely freaking agree. Traditions should be questioned. I'd say some would agree. There are some traditions that we have given up that were part of the old order. But as long as we don't compromise the main base stats and, the Astral Seven and, the commandments our empire is built off of and following the great creator, sure, there's traditions out there that which we are find questionable as we develop as a society. So I'd say some would agree. Multiculturalism is a threat to society. On the contrary, our empire is based off of over 100 different cultures and planets. So, yeah, we do fantastic because, we try to keep a no keep a no-no on planets mixing with each other. If you want to mix with society, we do have intermingling planets that you can move to, but we try our best to try to keep each planet, not in a bad way segregated, but in a way to preserve its society and its culture and ethics, because we don't want everybody to become the same. We like diversity, and that's one of the reasons why our empire does so well, because we make sure our empire is known for being very diverse. So yeah, individuals who get out of prison should be assisted in their reinsertion. Oh, I would definitely say I would agree, because when you assist them and you help them get back on their feet and you recondition them for society, you don't want them to just throw them out to the wolves and be like, hey, there you go. We do our best to help make sure that, ex-felons are, given that chance to become better. We don't want to just, put them at a disadvantage. So I would say absolutely agree. Changing the system radically is counterproductive. We should rather transform it progressively. Absolutely agree. Dismissal of employees should be forbidden except if it is justified. I would say absolutely agree. That's the reason why we have that, have that specialized, system that keeps things, customizable. Market economy is optimal when it is not regulated. I would say neutral or hesitant. We don't really exactly have a stock market because, a lot of our stuff is centralized around the government that does with the military. Now, because we have multiple stages of that, there are some areas where yes and some areas where no. So I would say neither are hesitant. We must fight against global warming. So I would say neutral or hesitant because we have terraformed our planets and we have more than enough power to change what needs to go up or down. So, neither or hesitant. We need to establish a monarchy to federate the people and preserve our sovereignty. Because, we do, Adensfo has absolute power. Below that, we have people who are elected leaders, so yes and no. So I want to say somewhat agree just because Adensfo does have absolute power and what he says goes. Transhumanism will be beneficial because it will allow us to improve our capabilities. From the Astral Empire's point of view, that's one of the reasons why we have the TAR program, because we want the TARs to be a unique example of why we improve ourselves. So we don't really, transphase outside of what we are, but we help grow ourselves and better ourselves for that. So I would say somewhat agree. Biologically, human beings or astralics are meant for heterosexuality. I absolutely agree. Like I said, guys, my channel is just the way that it is. If you don't agree with it, that's perfectly fine. Outside of this, I have a saying, red or blue, our friendship will always remain true. It's a cute, happy saying that that I made for my friends, because a lot of my friends have opposite viewpoints of mine, but they appreciate that I have such a non-aggressive view toward them despite them having different viewpoints. I try to be not politically correct, but I try to be understanding and open-minded even though I may disagree with them, because I want them to feel that same way toward me. And, I can have great conversations with people and, they appreciate and even state how, they appreciate that I am, agreeable to talk to and that I put my points across well. Now, there are some areas where I will not delve into no matter what it is, but, yeah. So the social roles of women and men can be partially be explained by biological differences. Oh, absolutely agree. Definitely. My country must pay for the damages caused by the crimes it committed in other countries. Our empire does very much what it can to pay reparations and do what's needed to better the lives of others that we negatively affect out of our own negligence. So I would say absolutely agree. And because we have such a massive industrial power, we can do that without any trouble. And it's like, whoops, sorry about that, my friend. And we fix that. And for them, they're like, how can you be so cavalier about this? And for us, it's just like, well, we made a mistake. We're sorry, we're going to fix it up. We're not going to, cry and bawl our eyes out over it. But yeah, here's what we're going to do to fix it and make it better for you. And there's times where our empire makes things even better for them. So we do our best to make sure that we are as agreeable as possible without compromising our values. Patents should not exist. I would absolutely disagree. When you have a patent, that means that you have contributed something to the empire. So I would say rather disagree on most parts, because we have patents made by various researchers which are huge, and that person should benefit because let's say a really kind person made so the people of the TAR program, they have full rights to their patents because of their hard work and their dedication to the betterment of people. They have full right to all that money that comes their way because they bless the lives of those people who would not have a life without their research. So yeah, rather disagree. There you go. Because there are some parts where people are just kind of like, nah, that should be public domain. Euthanasia should be authorized. There are individuals out there or things out there which should not exist, or who are just crappy, horrible people. And, if a person wants to be a parasite to society and they are constantly causing trouble for those around them, yeah, we are going to remove them. We do not care what other people think. Absolutely agree. Now, national chauvinism during sports competitions is not acceptable. I would definitely say it's agree, because when you go there, you are representing your country, but that does not automatically mean you are more valuable or better than them. We have planetary Olympics, and if one planet starts boasting that they are better than everybody else, they will be corrected, because as the empire, we are all unified and we all have equal and good value because we all make up that empire. We may have a smaller part of the empire because we have the Bulgarian Shepherd Dog planets, which are like 4 of the planets, and it's like a massive faction compared to the rest of them. So just because they're bigger does not always mean that they're better. So we always make sure that people can totally be proud of their heritage and their planets. But we do not tolerate, people, becoming, speciest or, breedist, over stuff like that. So I'd say some would agree. Differences in treatment and quality of life in a society show that racism is still omnipresent. We have a very strict policy against stuff like that. It doesn't matter, what breed or what species you are of the Astral Empire, you are valued as a member of the Astral Empire, and nothing more, nothing less. So I would say neutral, because, we don't really deal with that. Reduction of waste should be done by reducing production. Absolutely disagree, because we have a waste reconstitution program. So our true unusable waste is nearly non-existent. The right to be anonymous on AirNet should be guaranteed. I would say some would agree. If a person is going to be a piece of garbage on the internet, people should be kind of allowed that, because if a person is causing harm to others out of their own malicious intent, then people should know who they are, so that way proper action can be taken. It is important to encourage an agriculture that maintains a food biodiversity, even if the output is inferior. Absolutely agree. Borders should eventually be abolished. Absolutely disagree. That's one of the things that keeps our empire so diverse, is that we have borders. Minimal levels of salary should be ensured to make sure that a worker can live for their work. Absolutely agree. Selfishness is the overriding drive in the human species, no matter the context. For our empire, we've actually wiped out most selfishness, so I would say rather disagree, because in the Astral Empire, we really don't have that. We have some people who can be a little bit more grabby, but we try our best to make sure that, a person is not gluttonous or, looking for one's own profit is healthy for the economy. Oh, definitely. Because, when we have, people out there and entrepreneurs that make massive profit and do so well, they also give back to the community because they purchase resources, they open up jobs, and, all things like that. So I would say absolutely agree. Some sectors or type of employment should be financially supported. Absolutely agree. Our military is financially supported. That's what helps keep our empire so strong and protected, because we make sure our military jobs and essential services jobs are supported, because that allows those jobs to prosper and to do very well. The police should be armed. Oh yeah, outside of the military, the most heavily armed individuals are the police. So we do not tolerate, disarmament. Everybody, even including citizens, are required to be armed, because we never know when war will reach our planets or our empire. And if there is ever an evil individual out there, we want to make sure everybody has a chance to step in and stop them. So everybody is required by law to be armed. Hormonal differences can explain some differences in individual characteristics between women and men. Oh, definitely. Space colonization is a good solution for supplying the lack of raw material on Earth or our planets. Oh, definitely. Yes, like I said, we have harvested many planets, dead planets, for their resources, and because of our molecular atomizers and reconstitutionizers, that allows us to change the molecular structure of stuff, so we can turn anything into anything using special methods. It is a small group that that consciously and secretly controls the world. I mean, the Astral Empire, that's just kind of how it is. When you elect individuals, then yeah, so I would say agree. We should always distance ourselves from protesters who use violence. Absolutely agree. If you use violence and hurt innocent individuals because, you are a piece of garbage, or you start a war between one party or another, you're a piece of garbage and you will be severely dealt with. Elections organized by the state cannot question the powers in place. I would say neutral hesitant, because you are by all means allowed to question, because that's one of the reasons why our people have such good relationships with the people that they pick, because sometimes, you have to work your way up through the levels to, remove a person from office. So I'd say rather disagree. Besides a densest foe being the leader of the empire, everything underneath him is by all means, dynamic. Members of a nation or culture have some unchangeable characteristics that define them. Absolutely agree. State-run companies should be managed like private ones and follow the logic of the market, competition, and profitability. I would say no, because when we have imperial-run companies, they are for society and are kept at a pretty stable level to assure, equal access to all. So I'd say rather disagree on most parts. It is acceptable that there are rich and poor people. It is acceptable that there are rich and poor people. We do have some disparity between the richer individuals and the poorer individuals, but because the poorer individuals do have supplementary income to make sure that they can afford their basic needs and food and some fun products, like we're not just going to give you just barely enough money for food, home and your car. Like, we're gonna give you a little bit of extra, so like, you can take your family out on vacation every couple of years, or you can go, have a spa day every once in a while. Like, we're gonna take care of you. You just, have to be careful with your money, that's all. So yeah, I would say some would agree. As long as, the person is not in poverty, that's when it becomes an issue. The labor market enslaves workers. I would say, because of our empire, I would rather disagree, because of the customizability of our, jobs in the companies. Foreigners enrich our culture. Outside of the empire, not really. But I mean, in some ways, yes. Our allies, we are close with, and we have, stuff that we trade with them. So I would say some would agree. It is necessary to implement assemblies to our nation, assemblies to ration our production to the consumers according to their needs. Oh, I would definitely agree. Because we're not just going to give one person who needs nothing a crap ton of stuff. If you need nothing, then by all means, we're not going to give you really much of anything. So absolutely agree. Foreigners living in my country should be allowed to act politically equally to those who have their nationality. Some would agree. We're not going to be totalitarian on them, but yeah. I am equally concerned about the inhabitants of my country and those of the other countries. Oh, for sure, we care about our allies, and we care about other empires out there, like I said, we do our best not to harm innocent individuals. We have very special parts in the military which are known for being very surgical in their attacks. So that way, as little people are hurt as possible. We do not want to do collateral damage if we can help it. So I would say some would agree. Social differences between ethnic groups cannot be explained by biology. I would say some would agree, because you have different ethnic groups, like different species and breeds of individuals in my empire. So yeah, there are social differences between them, but there are also the main baselines of the rules of our empire. So somewhat. Social assistance deters people from working. Some would agree. There are individuals out there who try to take advantage of that, and that is seen as being a parasite. We hate parasites in the empire. I mean, if you get help, we do expect you to try to do something productive and to give back to the community, because we do not like individuals who just sit there and take and give nothing back. Research produced by my country should not be available to other countries. I would say some would agree, because our empire grows so well because we are very self-contained. But if we have something that can help benefit, other empires or our allies that will not, jeopardize our own empire, then by all means, we will happily give it. And we actually have a thing called the Research Advancement Beneficiary Program, and that helps us, take care of other people out there. We are a very kind empire. We just, have some absolutes that we are not willing to cross. The results of your politic scales is decomposed into 8 axes. Each axis indicates your positioning compared with 2 opposed ideologies. Some particular characteristics displayed at the end of the page can also complete your result. For further information on the different axes, look at the About table page. Fatherland, work, family. So we are 21% constructivism, 22% middle, and 57% essentialism. Because we do like to be constructive, but we have a lot of views on the essentials. we do have rehabilitative justice. We do care for those individuals who need help. We care about our people that, that deserve a second chance. But if a person's being a piece of garbage just because they're a piece of garbage, screw them. They're getting what they deserve. But we also love punitive justice because, like I said, if you're a piece of garbage, screw you. You're getting what you deserve. Not like, oh, he just misunderstood. Screw you. We are a lot more conservative in our views, but we do have some progressive tendencies which are essential to keep our people growing as a whole. Yes, we are a lot more conservative in what we do, but, we have areas that we need progressivism to better our society as a whole. Without the progressivism, we would just be stuck in the Stone Ages. But without, being conservative, we would be stuck in this dystopian future of just chaos and insanity. We do have a pretty decent chunk of internationalism because we have such a massive empire and we have great relationships with our allies and other empires too. We care about our people and our friends. And then we're extremely nationalistic. We are very patriotic. We are very patriotic for our, empire. Gee whittakers, I promise you guys I can talk. We do have a lot of regulation in our empire to assure that stuff is not abused in other things. So we make sure that things are taken care of for the betterment of society, even if some people don't like it. And then, we don't like laissez-faire very much. We have some areas which allow, leniency in that, but we do not care for laissez-faire as that can lead to, what's that term? It starts with a C. It means when you just kind of don't care. We don't like stuff that doesn't care. We care about our people and we care about the outcomes. So that's why. We have a little bit into ecology, but that's because we figured all that out many millennia ago. For our empire, we can produce so much now because we've figured out most of those issues in ecology. We have a very little need to worry about ecology now because of that. And our revolution, sometimes we do have to have revolution, but it's for the betterment of our people as a whole. So we stand strong, with our reform. We reform our society as a whole depending on what needs to be done. So, we take care of our stuff because, we need our empire to be properly taken care of. So we do have a little bit of a monarchy because of me, the Astral Wolf, and his mate, Sufti, which means blossom in Bulgarian. Sufti and Adinsvo are both really big pillars of leadership quality in the Astral Empire. We lead by example, and we want our people to follow that example. And then I don't know what this says, but we do have our imperial following of the Great Creator and the Astral Seven, and then contemplative? Man, that is... Can't really tell what that is, but we do, So, Okay, so we are pragmatic. So these are additional characteristics of our empire. So fatherland, work, family. We are the astralic fatherland. We, father our people and we hold them strong and dearly. And we work very hard and we are very family oriented. So politics objectively boils down to looking at where the problems are and trying to solve them according to the means available. We are very pragmatic in that. We hate, when things go outside of that because that means it's detrimental. we aren't exactly full-on conspiracists. The biggest problems of our society are the work of a small group of people. It is then essential to find them, inform the people of their objective, and neutralize them. So, unfortunately, this test doesn't cover that area very well for the Astral Empire, but pretty much what it is that overall, we do not have that conspiracist in that small group. But for, the planetary leaders and all that, those are the people that are in charge. So I probably should have put no on that, but it's whatever. Monarchist society should be organized around a king. Because, Edinstville has absolute rule, and he is able to make a decision that affects the empire with very little, backlash or pushback, Yeah, he has absolute rule. But underneath that, you have full and equal representation. And Edinstville listens to his people. His approval ratings are always super high. Now, it doesn't really matter too much to him what the approval ratings are because, he's the leader and he has more than enough power to hold off anything that the other people can throw at him. But, he still does try his best to take care of his people. And he gives them very little reason to be unhappy. And we have missionary. For you, religion is important, especially yours. It is therefore appropriate to spread it as universally as possible. And yeah, we want other, non-human species to see how amazing and awesome the great creator really is, and just how beautiful this, universe that has been made by his own hands really are. So, yeah, Downloaded. Goodness gracious, calm down. But yeah, so I mean that's actually pretty darn cool, huh? So yeah, that is our empire. Oh wait. Oh, these are new ones. Oh, I think I skipped one of those. Oh yeah, I skipped. Oh, so yeah, we are very much anti-communist. We hate communism. But we do have some areas which are for the community to put together as a whole. We do have pots that the community puts together to help the community grow as a whole. So we do have some tendencies of communism, but we do not support it and we do not use communism. We use for the people. So, but yeah, we are very capitalistic when it comes to growing, and so our empire does have both areas in that, and it's kind of interesting to say the least. So yeah, definitely, pretty cool. But yeah, so I know, like I said, the fatherland, work, and family. And like, look at this, guys. It's the colors of Edinstville. He has a dark blue for his colors. He has a light blue for his aura, and he has has like a white star on his chest when he goes into his feral wolf form. So yeah, I mean that's really really cool. I freaking love that. So yeah, it's fun. This was really really enjoyable. I'm gonna go ahead and copy link. But yeah, kind of cool, huh, guys? But yeah, so this is what our Astral Empire, based off of this test, kind of stands for. So yeah, besides 2 questions that would have caused trouble in my video just because of drama and people just being poo-poo heads, yeah, this is where it stands. Pretty darn cool, huh? Anyway, guys, this has been Sabin Dimitrov, aka Edinstville the Astral Wolf. Been an absolute pleasure having you guys here for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this and kind of get to see a inner look of how the Astral Empire works and how it cares for its people. Like I said, guys, the people expect the best from their leadership, so we expect the best from our people. We are not going to do our best for people who shows complacency, that's the word, in what they do. And we make sure that if our people want that change, they gotta earn it. And if and we make sure that our people are taken care of and equally handled, but we also make sure that they know that they need to work for this. They can't just expect us to fix all the problems. We make sure our people are very much self-thinking and self-reliant. Our empire's, government is built to assure the progressive nature of natural self-sufficiency and individualized thinking. When people start acting like sheep, that's when things start going sideways. We make sure that people think for themselves and show qualities in that aspect. So yeah, pretty cool. But anyway, guys, always remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because we want you guys to be, we want the Astral Wolfpack to grow. We are 570 subscribers now. Wolfpack members. Sorry, subscribers. Wolfpack members. That's pretty darn cool, huh? But yeah, so the Astral Wolfpack is growing. So yeah, like I said, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that way you guys can be updated to new posts, new community updates, new pictures, new things that I upload, so that way everything else can work out. But anyway, guys, you guys stay awesome, and always remember, God bless.